Good morning, good morning. So we are cutting a straight skirt today, and we have our vertical lines already. This is the hip line. We have the hip line here. We have the knee line here, and this is the normal length. The normal length is here. Let me move closer. We have the normal length, and we have the MA line. So we are going to start now. So from here, from this top, we have for the person is, for my client's hip measurements, we have 39. The waist is 34. The band, rather, can call it waistband, we have 34. And for the hip, we have 39. We have, for the length is 27. So I minus 22 minus 27, which gives us 25. The 2 is for the band. So why I'm having, for the length I have here, I have 27. The reason why I'm having 27 is 25 plus 2, which is for the MN line, is 27. So we are still cutting on 27. So now we start. So from the hip to our waist, from our waistline, our band to our hip, we have, I'm making use of 8 for her because the high waist skirt, so I'm making use of 8. So the 2 inches band, which is 2 minus 8, gives us 6. So that is why I'm having 6 on the hip line here. That's why I'm having 6 on the hip line here. So from hip line to the knee line, I'm using 9. I think that is the, what's it called? That is the normal, what's it called? The normal measurements we use from hip, from the waistline, from the hip line to the knee line, rather, we use 9. I normally use 9 for no matter how the tallness of the person, So from here to here, we have 9 inches, and from the 9 inches, which is the knee line, we just go straight down to, if it's a long skirt, you just cut straight down. So let's start. So the waist, for the band of the person, which we are using, making use of the waist measurements, we are using the waist, the band is 34. So 34 divided by 4. So 34 divided by 4, we are going to have 17. 34 divided by 2, we have 17. 17 divided by 2, I think we're having something like we're having 8.5. We're having 8.5. So we are measuring 8.5 for the band. 8.5. And for the dart, making use of ½ inch, that is making 9 inches. So for the what's it called, for the seam allowance, I'm using 2 inches. So this is the 2 inches. So I have it here. Now we go down to the hip line. The hip is 39. I'm going to approximate it to 40. So I'm going to use 10. 10 plus 2 plus 2 inches seam allowance, that is making it 12. So the 12 is here. And for the knee, so what I do is, it depends on how you want the skirt to be fitted, on how tight you want the skirt to be. If the person does not want it tight, from the hip line, you just take it straight down to the normal, the expected length. But if the person wants it pencil, so you can just remove 1.5 from the normal hip measurement. So I'm having here, we are having what's it called, 12.5. I'm having 12. So for the 12, I'm going to take away just 1 inch. So on the knee line, I'm going to take away 1 inch, which is 11. So I'm having 11 here. So from that 11 now we are going to connect. Let me, so on the waistline I measured the waist measurement on the band. Sorry, on the band I measured the waist measurement from here to here, from here to here, which is the band plus two, plus half inch seam allowance, plus half inch, sorry, that, and 2 inches seam allowance. Here we have the hip measurement, which is 10 plus 2 seam allowance, and here I removed 1 inch for the knee. I removed 1 inch from that 12 we have from the hip line. So we are going to connect as it's seen. So from here, connect to the knee line, be connecting, and from that knee line we just go straight down. Even if this skirt is a short skirt, so we are going to go straight down. But if it is a long skirt, even if it's a long skirt or a mini skirt, from that knee line you are just going straight down, nothing else. But if it is if the person wants it more pencil, you can just go in by 1.5 or remove 2 inches from. But if you remove 2 inches, the skirt, you won't be able to walk very well. The walk the person won't be able to walk. The walk allowance will be very tight. So if it is a African print or is any material that does not stretch, what you reduce from this new measurement is the best you can remove. The highest you can remove is 1.5 inch. So but if it's a stretchy material, you can remove as much as 2 inches or 3 inches. So from this knee line, you connect from the knee line to your hip line, from the hip line to your band, then you go straight down. So I'm cutting cutting from the band, and don't forget we removed 2 inches from the band, remove 2 inches from the waistline to the hip line, which is from the band, cutting straight down. Cutting straight down, and that we have what we need here. So we need to cut the back panel. The back panel is just for you to place the front on the back. Just place your front on the back. And okay, before I do that, the way we cut our trouser for the band, for the normal band we normally have, you just come in on this unfold. You know I'm cutting unfold. So from here you can just come in by 1 inch, come down by 1 inch on this middle part, come down by 1 inch. The way we cut our trouser, come down by 1 inch, then connect to this open edge, connect to this open edge like this, to have a very very neat and nice, what's it called, band, so that it will not just look straight, it will stand firm on the waist area. So that is it. So on at the back, the way we cut our trouser, that's the same thing. We are going to, at the back we are going to have we are going to go in by, on the back we are going to come up by 1 inch. So we are cutting the back, just to place the back on the front, place the front on the back rather, and add your what's it called, your slits allowance. So here we are going, so I'm placing it as thus. So once this open edge meets this place, you just leave it that way. Can you see this place is meeting here? So we are going to leave what's it called, yeah, sorry, okay, you can place it on any side since both sides is going to be open. So here we have, so I'm using 3 inches for my slit, so that it can lap very well. So I'm just using 3 inches here, 3 inches, moving it a little bit back, 3 inches all down. So here I'm coming up at that middle area, I'm coming up by 1.5 inch or 2 inches rather. 1.5 is enough so that it will not be too high. So I'll just connect it as thus, the way we cut our trouser at the back. Then we just cut straight down, just cut like that. Use the front panel to cut the back panel. Just cut. And we are done. We are done. So I will just show us the way we can cut our lining. You know, I'm not going to hem directly on the material. To cut my own lining, I normally sew it inside with the material, what's it called, I turn it inside. I don't just what's it called, I don't just cut my lining. I don't just cut my lining. So you remember that the inches, the folded, what's it called,